Drum and bass is an electronic genre for people that don't know.
It's an outlet, a lifestyle choice.
Very fast paced.
It's an underground genre of music.
It could be up towards 180 plus BPM. Sometimes it can be as low as 170.
It's something I don't think I could live without.
Or you go out to have boogie together as a community and just like enjoy the music for what it is.
My name's Tommy. I go by the alias of TLB. I am a DJ from Brighton. I've played loads of shows in places like Volks, The Arch, Concord, Patterns, like all the venues, all the electronic venues in Brighton.
My name's Crofts. I'm a DJ, producer and event promoter from Chichester. I've been doing it for like too long, 4 years, 4 or 5 years now, since I was quite young.
Hello, I'm Bobby T. I'm a 27-year-old drum and bass producer and DJ from Brighton.
I think that like the roots of the genre and like the history behind it is all like sort of important to what it is now, and I think that like the meaning that it has to some people is really important. Like there are people young and old that sort of all come together to like enjoy the same sort of thing. And you know, I've got people that are like in their 30s, 40s that I'm friends with that have been there since it first started.
You've got the side of D&B that is jungle, etc., which is like very fast breakbeat, high energy. Compared to all the other genres within the electronic scene, just the atmosphere, for me in my opinion, is just completely unmatched.
Everyone's there for the same reasons, regardless of age, just something that brings everyone together in a really nice environment.
D&B community can be very, honestly, it can be very 50-50.
Can be a bit temperamental, quite opinionated, but that's the same with every genre of music. Everyone's got a preference.
I think that at the moment we've got a big fusion of new school ravers and old school ravers all sort of coming together. You've got these events for like the older generation that sort of you know, do those like throwback DJs. Then also you've got companies like D&B All Stars that are like creating these events that are kind of for everyone but in these massive venues. So I think the community is probably the biggest it's ever been, but I think it's also the most diverse that it's ever been.
The community, just people in general, has been absolutely amazing. But then you post on stuff such as like TikTok, etc., and people don't understand the genre, and some of the comments they have said have been potentially malicious.
Ultimately, there's no bad publicity for any type of music genre, and I think TikTok itself will just continue to be a tool that's sort of used.
It's literally free promo for artists, videographers, even venues, etc. So like, for example, let's say Headaches as the prime example. When he posts his Mr. Postman dub, that circulated so many views because it wasn't just from the D&B industry. The algorithm kicked in, worked in the favour because everybody liked it, etc. And then people who don't fully know what D&B is saw it and went, "Oh, I like this," and then the ball starts rolling.
Originally, when it first was sort of becoming popular and into the mainstream, they wanted those videos that were eye-catching, 30-second videos, stuff that was going to keep people at the top of your feed, and it really rewarded consistency. I think that it's also allowed a lot of people to learn what drum and bass is, come into the scene, and inevitably the people that want to stick around are going to stay in the scene for as long as they want to, and the people that don't and see it as a trend, you know, they'll be on to the next thing tomorrow.
Someone like myself who's a bit older than the younger lot coming through, social media was never a big part for me. It was virtually non-existent. Like the artists coming through, they have got a lot more competition than they've ever had. So it is a tough one, but the scene is very healthy at the moment.
TikTok hasn't had an effect, it's had an influence, and a massive influence. Fucking COVID. COVID for some people was either good or bad. There was no middle ground. It was either you were locked in your house and you were making music non-stop, or you was locked in your house, you couldn't see your friends and you were getting sad because of that.
Probably going to annoy a few people saying this. It's quite beneficial for me. I had never produced any music at that point, and then I got told I was going to have 12 weeks paid off work, which was the perfect time for me to get into producing music.
I think during COVID the impact for me was there was a time where I was like, we didn't really know when we were going to get back to normal and be able to do what we originally wanted to do.
In terms of like my career, negative, 100%. Negative. I just felt like it just took a halt for like 6 months. It was starting, the ball was starting to roll, and then it obviously just stopped out of nowhere.
My neighbours knocking on my window every day for 12 weeks telling me to turn my music off while I was learning to produce, bless them. That was definitely the backlash I faced through COVID.
I just didn't get to see friends. Like, I'm literally deep in it now as I'm thinking about it.
I think I did a lot more networking with people from afar. Obviously we couldn't see anyone, so there was no harm in talking to people that I didn't know, reaching out to people for collaborating, stuff like that, just running ideas past people for what would be successful when the doors finally opened again for everyone to get going.
It didn't really help with the government and their way. Clubs are now suffering. Like, I know some places that haven't been able to keep up of what they lost at COVID, which is really sad.
I think COVID has had a big effect on phone events. I think booking fees are kind of as high as it's ever been. I think festivals are struggling. I mean, NAS has just said that it's not returning after, I think, 12 or so years. Just to sort of show the effect that COVID's had sort of bouncing back. You know, it's a completely different ballgame now, and I think events, promoters, companies, festivals, everyone, they all understand the importance of being ever-changing.
Yeah, people go a lot crazier now than they used to like 5 years ago. I guess having 2 years near enough without proper events thrown regularly made everyone really hungry, which is nice. I don't think I've seen the D&B scene this full of life for probably the last 10 years or so, I'd say. I think it's had its ups and its downs, but at the moment we're coming back really strong.
I mean, like, for me, Seaside, when I started it, was just sort of a bit of fun. Like, we just threw a couple of events. I didn't take it too seriously. We sort of leveled up. We did Portsmouth for a long time. We created a really strong student brand in Portsmouth. Then we moved into Brighton. We started to build up a big presence there. We've come together with our influences from different places, and we started probably the biggest student brand in Chichester, and probably the only brand in the area that's actually sort of pioneering dance music, and that's also trying to sort of push the boundaries of what we can get away with in like a small sort of city like that. You know, you've got a city like Chichester, you've got only a certain amount of people that are going to want to come out and listen to drum and bass music, and it's probably 10 times smaller than most of the other places that we previously worked in. And I think that as the more that we level up and the more that we try and go bigger, there has always been a point where we've been like, right, maybe we've hit as high as we can go, so now we're going to leave it at this level, and we're going to keep working out how we can keep that sort of fresh and interesting. People also have less money than they ever have with the cost of living crisis and stuff, but I think it's just like anything, it will come full circle, but it's just keeping the brands that are there, like ours, afloat at the moment.
Make sure you get your 10,000 hours in. It's 10,000 hours is a term that a lot of DJs use, and it's basically just keep at it, because you're not being paid from the start, which in the DJ world is very common. You do your 10,000 hours, you do your grafting, you put your time and energy into it, you then get it in return later on.
I think Once Ever Before changed. It didn't stop. The way that it sort of bounced back shows that it kind of never stopped, but maybe the brakes were on a little bit. I think people took a step back. They assessed the situation and they worked out how they were going to bring the genre back stronger. You know, we had sit-down raves, we had other solutions like that, and I think that personally, all it was is a slowdown, but it's come back faster, stronger, and I think it's just going to keep going and growing and getting bigger and bigger.
I think well, to be honest, the world stopped. Everything's pretty much stopped, and I think a lot of artists, not like myself, much bigger artists that were relying on that income full time, for them they would say it had stopped. But it's definitely come back completely full of life and eager to go again, which is lovely.